Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
So we gotta go down.
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
So this is where he got hit.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family.
Is she pregnant?
Oh, we don't know.
Who is she talking to?
She just started the story off just like
And the
that?
history you're a part of.
Or is she talking to you like you're a part of the family?
Could be.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Who's talking to you?
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
So I think we're making our way back to the house.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
So here's the swing set that he fell from. As you can see, it's tied up on the thing. And he fell off over here.
What logic does that make? That makes no sense.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Hey, you need a place to rest. You get it? You get it? You need a place to rest.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
So you can kind of see Barbara, Walter, Edie, Sven, Calvin. No, that's the one who fell off the
Swing.
And Molly's the one who got killed by a monster. So each one is like a representation of how they died, pretty much.
Why isn't Calvin for...
So like Calvin's is because he was obsessed with flying to
Oh. That's... Oh, bro. Why is hers a... Was she cut in half?
space. Well, Sven built the house.
Oh.
So the stall is supposed to be representation of him, but he actually got killed by a big giant dragon that he built. it fell apart and it fell on top of her. So everybody pretty much died the way.
What they love.
Yeah. Walter, the reason why it's the hole, because the hole in the wall when he broke through, and he died.
His discovery. Damn it.
And Barbara's is a star because she was a movie star.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
So there's a lot of family members we don't know.
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Your gameplay is here.
Yeah.
I'm such a girl.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from.
So I think, yeah, we're going back to the house.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along.
Her mom is... Dawn, maybe?
Okay.
For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
So the way that we progress really is just to kind of go where we think we're supposed to go. It really has no direction. We just kind of experience everything.
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Boom. Who is so climbing? Well, if you know the house is potentially haunted or you're cursed,
Hey.
you had 21.
I never
22
met Grandpa
old-
Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Oh, there's a lot of trapped doors and stuff. Like, she never got the key to the front door.
They were both pretty intense.
All she gets is one key that locks these secret compartments.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Aw.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee. Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip.
Calvin dead.
Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish,
Oh,
how to build a fire.
do we need to note this?
We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere.
Or does it, obviously
I bet if I could
the
remember where that
picture
trail
on your
was,
stick.
we'd spot a buck for you in no time. Don, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Give me a minute to check the map.
Dad!
Good eyes, Don. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Don, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Great shot, Don! I'm proud of you, Don. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
so-
normal, Don. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
You see? You see?
That's fucked up, bro.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
That was her mom's dad, I'm assuming.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Can you just investigate the room?
Yeah.
So there are plane tickets here. But they're still here. So,
You can't get out the door.
no.
Okay.
So, so you can kind of see there's a little scary trail.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
So I guess this is where we think about Gregory.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Oh.
Wow.
You see how rubber ducky is moving?
Mm-hmm.
In sync with the... What does it say in the text?
I think only he sees only things that we can't.
Oh, wow.
Bath time's over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello?
That's what she's saying.
Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination.
The mom's voice sounds like he's underwater.
Could be.
You hear?
Whatever it was, he saw.
Oh, because the door's closed.
It sure made him happy.
I haven't heard the baby laugh in a long time.
I got a feeling that the baby's gonna drown.
Yeah. Because his hands aren't playing with toys. They're like, it looks like he's struggling, but he's too entertained.
Mm-hmm. What I get on here? Okay, there's little letters on here.
I know how silly it sounds. That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Someone wrote a message.
I wish he could have told us about the world he saw.
Well, interesting.
You say you just came in, bro. You gotta. It's
Hey,
about
there's
to
so
get interesting.
much I don't understand about Gregory,
Stage 218.
Yes.
about everything.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? How is the baby swimming now? Are you the frog now?
Well, remember, she unplugged the thing, right?
Yeah.
But I know what
So
happened
the frog
wasn't your fault.
turned the water back on,
Oh, so he's drowning.
basically.
Weren't you the frog?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
How about now? Can you hear us? Okay, so we know how Gregory died.
Mm-hmm.
Little better? That should be good. Let me try this too. Alright, so that's Gregory.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now
remember.
pronounce you husband and wife.
Oh, somebody's getting
Make
married.
this the bride.
Oh. Which word's over here?
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Basically.
Says things for $1
Oh, that's the automatic one.
Yeah.
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Lightning, maybe?
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Oh, is lightning gonna strike the tent?
I think the lightning's gonna strike the kite.
Well,
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Tornado, maybe?
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me
There
once
was
if
a
I
bad
was a boy,
storm.
they were going to name me Gus.
And he died because the tent blew away. And then
he did. Go down. That. What's that?
what's what?
Bottom right hand. Bottom left hand corner. The standy thing? That. Yeah. What's
No, that's a picture of Gus
Oh, okay.
on a wood thing.
It's a bust of Gus?
A bust of Gus. And you know, it was also kind of funny.
What?
His name is Gus, and he kind of got
Hit
killed
by
by
a wind, a
Gus.
gust of wind?
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
Nothing.
Okay.
At the time, it was as far away as she could
Oh,
go.
maybe somebody just came into the room. Welcome, everybody.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Sanjay. Okay. So that's her mother and her father.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
So she's Indian
When my dad
and
died,
Caucasian.
I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
How did her dad die?
He didn't say it.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
I guess we'll find out how the mom passed away.
But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
So we don't know if Milton passed away.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
So I guess we were saying that Milton found a magic paintbrush and went to a different dimension.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Well, that looks like a door to me.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Okay, go there.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room.
They have very interesting
Except
rooms.
Louis.
Okay, so what we do?
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
So he was the weed smoker.
Oh, got you.
There's still weed in here.
What's that glowing thing?
Louis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
You got a high school diploma.
What's that over?
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
This is so confusing.
But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused.
I get what they're doing.
Like a whole new Lewis.
Because you're paying attention to
So I
the
let him go on.
You're not paying attention to his hand almost getting cut off.
Yeah.
I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first.
You're getting more into you.
Yeah.
He told me he'd made a new friend.
You see his hand is getting sloppy
On the edge of a
little bit.
city, he
I'm not
named
even paying
Lewis
attention. I'm just
Topia.
making the movement.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen.
A handsome queen.
Yeah, it was two choices. handsome queen or beautiful princess. I guess to stop, you know, in case you're gay.
The Queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
Now it's completely gone.
He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
It's completely covering the whole screen.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me.
You know, I always had a fear of losing.
It was hard to argue with him.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him.
Wait.
Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
That's their pet cat that they named after the girl that died, Molly.
This letter that she wrote didn't look this long.
It didn't.
It was like 3 paragraphs. Oh, he's getting close to... Oh, no.
His queen waited, holding his crown.
He's still on the conveyor belt.
There was only one thing left to do.
He puts his head under there.
Yeah.
Bend down his head.
You ready, babe?
Yeah.
rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man, homie. Because he has a high school diploma.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Oh, that was your brother. So what we got here is we got Lewis, we got Milton, we got Edith, we got Gus, Gregory, Walter, Sam, Calvin, Barbara, and Molly. The only people we're missing that we don't know a story of is Sanja, her father, Dawn, her mother. We don't know who Kay is. Still haven't gone through Sven's story, Edie's or Odin's. That's a fucked up way to die.
In your own imagination?
Yeah. Because you died in real life, but you're like that's the last thought you have is your whatever you
On the way
imagine.
back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed.
The box.
But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
So this is Edith's room.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Oh, that scared the hell out of me.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Who built this
The
house?
thing
bro?
you're afraid of isn't
Sven.
going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning,
Damn.
okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
Awesome.
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things.
Were you seeing things, or was that actually a deer?
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them.
Look, you made it.
Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go. I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car.
She didn't finish the story.
I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone.
Gone.
After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it.
I did this in the first one.
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone.
Until I met your
Last
dad.
Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you.
Go on.
I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself.
This is gross.
But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
So she died during birth.
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Ain't nobody tore down this damn house yet.
Still up. So what do you think
What?
about the whole story?
The storyline is good. The macabre nature of it is good. I didn't know I wanted to be depressed so bad, but I didn't know I was craving that. So that was cool. Sanjay. That's her dad.
Yes.
You didn't find Sanjay. And we didn't figure out what happened to Sven.
I remember they said at the beginning that he had passed away by getting killed by a dragon that he built. So I guess that was their.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying.
He did.
Yeah.
Don't look for him.
It's like, nah, you ain't getting that story.
So she died giving birth.
That's what I'm assuming, yeah.
Okay.
And that the whole letter was only to be delivered to the child in case she passed away.
Oh, okay.
One thing we don't know, though, is what is the curse and why is it that it's happening to the family?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say that. Something's up with Grandma. Great-grandma. Grandma Edie?
She's missing, yeah.
Yeah, something's up with that.
Yeah, we don't really know where she went to.
Yeah.
Unless she went to the old house and stayed there, because she never finished the story.
Unless she tried to make it back to the old house. In the high tide.
Yeah.
Yeah. But something, much like in Us, something happened to her when she went into that house. Were people dying before she went into the house? Or were they cursed before she went into the house another time?
Who,
Grandma. Great-grandma.
The one time when she got to go to the old house?
Yeah.
I think people had been dying.
For generations?
Yeah, for generations.
Okay.
But I mean, you think about it, like, one thing we don't know with the story is we didn't finish the book that she was reading that her grandmother gave her. So maybe that's a sequel, or maybe that's part of the story we can continue on after the credits. I think it's kind of cool how everybody that worked on the game has their kid pictures out. Remember the style you used to... Who puts a shotgun in their daughter's hands? No. No guns.
No?
Not in kids' hands, no.
What about a crossbow? A Gatling gun.
A Gatling gun. This is a creative way to finish all the stuff.
Yeah. This was a very, very weird but interesting game.
Yes.
I don't know why, like, she was crawling, or, like, what answers did she get?
I think she found out, like, her family has this sort of curse. And...
Oh, who died from 2012 to 2017? Oh, no, the little boy?
Maybe the game. So we get to play the option. Because there's still certain things. That we haven't gone through. Like Odin, we never... Starting over.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out all of the videos on the channel. Be sure to also check out my live stream channel at www.twitch.tv/GreenSPMK to see me, my PMK, and Real Ones Gaming family play daily. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GreenSPMK to get live updates on video uploads, stream schedules, and the Real Ones Gaming Podcast upload schedule. So until next time, stay real.